Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I feel like we're in the beginning of a commercial here, and I was drinking my coffee. So, hey, folks, listen, we want to welcome you to this training session. Today, we're going to be focusing on the fourth session on every Saturdays in the month of January, which is the last training segment in January, and we want to talk to you about finishing strong. But folks, first of all, if you're here for the very first time, we want to welcome you to this training session. If you happen to be a brand new associate, you just started with God Backup, you're totally green, you have no idea what's going on, don't worry, we'll take care of you. We'll explain to you where you can actually start and have access to all the trainings and everything that we've done so you can catch up. Before we begin, as you know, I love to always recognize and mention all of you that are coming in from different parts of the world. We have here Amok, Isaac, welcome. Great to have you here. We have Esther. Thank you, Esther. Great to have you here. I appreciate your feedback. Bakshir from India. Welcome. Great to have you here. Let's see here. We have James Holmes from Fredericksburg, Virginia. Great to have you here. Let's see. We have Just Reality. Great to have you here from DC. We have family Miza, great from Peru. Awesome. This is so beautiful. What a beautiful
Lima,
place.
nice.
Yeah. I know. Tell me, what is that place there that is so wonderful that we took the train to get into in Peru? What was it called?
Oh my God, you're putting me on the spot.
I got a blank. It's one of the most amazing places in the world. And maybe some of you can post it a little later. I'll come back to it. Yvonne, great to have you from the UK. Joseph, great to have you here. I believe from Nigeria. Great to have you here. Welcome. Michael, great to have you here. Letitia, great to have you here from, let's see here, St. Vincent. Great to have you here. Let's see, we have Raleigh. Great to have you from St. Lucia. And we have here Chris. Great to have you from Greece. Awesome. Mark Stevens, great to have you here from Idaho, USA. We have Lawrence Mohammed. Great to have you here. Welcome. Evelyn and Lady from Ghana. Great to have you here. And all of you that are coming in, there's a few more here. Kevin from Utah. Oh, great to have you here. Live Good Opportunity from Oklahoma City. And we have Stevens, and we have Boris and Dorothy. Great to have you from Ghana. Dorothy doing a great job. Stay the course. And folks, again, and anyone from Ghana. And we have Tony here from Connecticut. And we have Finn Talk 26 from India. Great name. And Mary from Toronto. Great to have you with us. So as I was saying earlier, folks, is what we're doing here is in the beginning of the year of January, we started what we call a 90-day campaign. And this 90-day campaign is really to help you start your business. I've been using that example for years because I think it's the best example to understand how to initiate momentum. Think of a plane. As a plane is starting to take off, it's on the ground and it's at thousands of pounds. It's quite heavy. But as it starts getting into momentum, the winds will actually lift the plane up. But it's not going to lift off the ground until there's enough speed and momentum. And that's what the 90-day runs are all about. It's to get you that wind underneath your sails so you can take off. Once you're up in the air, you can reduce the intensity a little bit because now you're just maintaining the speed. And at that point, you can kind of slow down a little bit, but you're maintaining the pace. And this is how we build our business. And just before we begin here, I just want to share our screen here. Just bear with me 1 second. Before we start the training is where can you find these training sessions? If you go to, I'm going to post that into the group as I do every single week. There we go. And you should be seeing that in a few seconds. Now, this here is the GVO YouTube channel where everything they do, all presentations is actually hosted on that channel. Now, you'll notice that I'm on the playlist. So you have to click on playlist. And as you're doing this, you'll notice here 90-day campaign 2025. If you click on that playlist over here, it's going to take you to all the different sessions that we've done, starting with the very first one back in, I think, the 3rd of January. And I think it was right here. And again, this is kind to initiate you on exactly how the whole program is going to take place. And why are we doing this? Why are we creating this structure here? It's because we understand that some of you may start today, but the campaign started a month ago. So the point here is you can go back and catch up. But not only this, what about you're coming in March and you're hearing the last segment in March? Well, you can start all over again with your own team. You can create your own YouTube channel, which we encourage it. We encourage you to have your own tools, your own systems. You don't want to just depend on one leader to do it all for you. This is not how you grow and how you get into momentum to reach hundreds of thousands of members in your team. And Tammy have done that. We have reached over 600,000 members in the past, right? So in building an organization, this didn't just happen because we owned it all and we did everything. That is not physically possible. We created pockets of duplication. And what we're encouraging you to do here is to do the same, but learn from the people who've walked the path before you. So you can see here the first day, and then we have the first session on the second week. And then here we had the introductory of the new funnel that got introduced to have the 7-day free trial, which is awesome because now someone can actually try the 6 terabyte backup system on their phone and their computers without paying a dime for 7 days. This is so cool. So we talked, and then after the session was completed on the introducing the program, then of course we went with session 2. And then we had session 3, which was last Saturday on the following up, right? The introductory, the tools and the system and so forth. And today we're going to talk about finishing strong. And it's really important. And Tammy and I are going to be doing some role playing with you. Okay. So you have an idea what's going on. So this is, again, very important for you to be aware. And I also want to point out that there's other programs here. We have the 90-day cycle series. And the reason why I point this out here, folks, is because we are talking about prospecting, right? Inviting. We're talking about following up. We're talking about third-party credibility, which has been probably the most instrumental segment that is the result where Tammy and I had so much success. It's this module over here, okay? Which unfortunately is the least viewed, but it's one of the most important, right? It's third-party credibility. And then handling objections, on how you handle objections, which again, Tammy and I are going to be doing a little bit of a role playing over here. So I just want to spend a bit of time here. And we have here different presentations that are hosted. This is the African community. These guys are amazing. Presentation is so amazing. A lot of passion. It's fun when you look at different cultural differences on how the message is delivered. I just love it. And here we have the Saturday trainings. These are all the trainings. They're all accumulated over here. We have presentation in French. We have presentation in Italian. We have presentation, let's see here, with every Friday presentations. They're not all here, but we keep track of them here. And every Wednesday, let's say you missed Joel's presentation on Wednesday, you can catch it over here. But you can also go into the live sessions and just find, different presentation that's been recently hosted. It's all there. Okay, so now let me go back to the presentation. As I stated here, and then I'll pass it over to Tammy to start with the very first slide in the power of closing. Is what's important here, folks, is your prospect, right? A lot of time we have all these people in a funnel, and we don't seem to close. We don't seem to be able to have some closure, and we want to show you how to handle that. And of course, you're not going to be able to speak with everybody. Not everybody's going to respond. I need to accept that, folks, this is not a dictatorship. This is a free army. Some people will join, some people won't. You can't force them to look at your stuff. In fact, I don't recommend that you beg people to look at your stuff, because what we have to offer, it's an absolute gift. And if you present in that way, you will find that your results will improve, opposed to begging them to look at something that they're not interested in looking into because they don't see the value. So we want to show you, and that's what these sessions are all about, is how do you create value for them to understand the big picture? Because, folks, let's face it, data is the new oil. The price point to get involved is so inexpensive, and because of that, people are not taking it seriously. But as you compound all of this, keeping in mind that Dropbox has over 700 million users, do you understand the power? Why is it that Netflix, I don't know if you guys are watching some of their stocks. Have you seen how high they are? It started with a $7 a month program. Now, of course, now I've just recently, it's $18 and change. So my point in trying to say is that, of course, the cost of living is increasing, but these small fees, everybody can afford them. So everybody can access them. And that's exactly what Got Backup is presenting to you. So I want to give you a little bit of a context as we're starting our training segment. So Tammy, back to you.
I hope you guys are taking notes, because Chris was giving a lot of really good nuggets on the benefits and the value of what we have with Got Backup. And I know I created a sheet, Chris, on the benefits and value that people can use as well. I did it in English, French, Spanish, and Italian. And there'll be other languages as the organizations start to grow. But I mean, you could use ChatGPT, right, to just copy, paste, and put stuff in to get different languages. So before we go right into the closing, just to kind of bring the perspective, understand that in the closing process, you already know somewhat of their goals, of your prospects' goals. You know stuff about them along the way if you are listening and asking questions. Okay, so I like to take notes when I do this, because when you talk to a lot of people, it's easy to get messed up. And if you're not taking notes on the conversations that you have, because you're going to go back to some of the conversations and bring that back to the table on the closing. Okay, so you really need to be engaged in the process in bringing people in. And maybe at the beginning it might seem to be, oh my gosh, that's a lot, but it's not, because it's just connections, conversations. You know, you're going to give them information to look at. You're going to set up a time to follow up with them. And in that process, that's when we go into the close. I don't like to say the word closing, because for me, we're opening up partnership. You know, we're opening up a relationship to help that person achieve anything that they desire through the Got Backup program. right? So when I communicate with people, it's partnership. We're in partnership. Our goal is to help you and on whatever it is that they're looking for. And when they know that, there's a saying in our profession, know you, like you, trust you. Then that trust factor starts to get built through the process of initial prospecting, the invitation, the follow-up, and the follow-up can be the close, right? Sometimes it's not the close because they haven't done what they needed to do to go to the next step. Okay. They need to look at the information, because if they don't look at the information, what are you closing them on? You know what I mean? There's a process here. And when you talk to enough people, then you don't get hung up on, how many of you got hung up on they didn't look at the video? If you got hung up on they didn't look at the video, put a 1 in the chat. I know there's a time delay in all of this,
About a
but
15 seconds.
put a 1 in the chat, because we all get hung up on it, right? It's called being human. But the truth is, when you're talking to enough people and you have enough people in your pipeline, you don't have time to get hung up on anything. Honestly, you don't. So if you're in this 90-day program to run and to get enough connections as you can, then you're not going to get hung up on this stuff. But if you're just chasing the same 3 people or the same 5 people, then you're going to get hung up, and you don't want to be in that position. I always say, when people talk to me about the challenges that they have, we know people not being there and stuff. And I said, talk to more people. Go talk to more people. Because if you're talking to more people, your business is growing. If you're not talking to enough people, then you're going to get hung up on all the challenges. I just want to share that with you up front. Okay.
Folks, underline what Tammy, this is so critical. Underline what you just shared with you right now. Because some of you that maybe are not happy with your results, repeat yourself. Tammy, do you mind repeating exactly what you said?
Are you kidding me? I never repeat exactly what I said. I'm a random person when I train, but you can always get the recordings.
In other words, if you're not getting the results that you're looking for, talk to more people.
Always.
You're not happy about what's going on, talk to more people. If you're focusing a lot of time in complaining about certain situations, that means you're not building your business. You're more focusing on everything around, except what really matters is building your business. Yes. That's what I wanted to focus on. Sorry, Tammy, back to you.
So exactly. So if you're hung up, you're not talking to enough people. Okay. So right after this session, go back to your list, because we're at the final week, right? So next Saturday, we're moving into February, but we're also going to have a moment of celebration, because we want to know who's doing what. We want to recognize that people are actually doing the work. Doesn't matter how many people you close. It could be you have maybe 20 people that you have in your pipeline. You haven't brought them in the business yet, but they're still on your list moving into February to move to the next step, right? So we want to hear the progress of what's happening, so we can celebrate you, number one, and it helps us in our training process to help people even further in whatever they're challenged in. Okay, so closing is about helping prospect take action towards their goal. So by the end in the closing process, as I mentioned, you should know some things that they're looking for in their life. Now, if it's a social media contact, I do my due diligence, by the way, before I talk to people. Always, always, always. If I've got a contact on social media and I don't personally know them, I can't go and have a coffee with them. They could be living in a different market. We're not there yet. I check them out. I was doing that this morning before I got on the session with new prospects. I find things that I like about them. As I find things I like about them, I send a add a friend, and I always send them a voice message saying what I like about their profile. I also do my due diligence in the process of finding of activities that they're doing. because it gives me an idea what they like. Right. So always remember this when it's not stalking you guys. You know what I hate is people online saying, stop stalking people. You're not stalking people. You're building relationships. You're looking for people that could be a potential business partner, or it could be a potential, eventually a friend that you could get a lot of resources from. You could give them resources. You could help each out in different situations. So, nobody's stalking anybody. So if you're stalking somebody, you're just staring and looking at them. That's stalking. Okay. But if you're trying to build a relationship, it's not stalking people. All right. So, and go out and meet people too. That's another good thing. Go out and meet people, but you got to know what their core love is. What is their core desire? You got to know these things. And if you don't ask these questions, how are you going to end up bringing them to that final close of, if Got Backup could give you blank, 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 would it be something that you'd consider partnering and working towards that goal? I'm a random person, you guys. When I talk to people, I'm like that. I'm not a script person. I keep telling everybody I'm not a script person. Chris is going to share some of these scripts, and based on conversations, I just let it flow. How do I get that way? I was never like that, you guys. I was the shyest person you would ever know. Honestly, anybody knew me 20 some years ago, and some people do, at the beginning of my network marketing career, I sucked. Okay. I really sucked because I wasn't good at it. But you know what? I had to get out there. I had to break my comfort zone. I had to go out and talk to people. I said some of the stupidest things ever, but that's how I got better and better and better. So if you're a shy person like I was, you got to get out there and start connecting with people. Know more about them and what they like than talking about yourself. Okay. So I'm kind of bringing some heart here in these sessions to help you. So that's how you're going to build confidence. Okay. And it says, Chris, you got here, build confidence in both the leader and the new member. Okay. So it helps the leader. As a leader, I'm working with people. We're doing third-party validations sessions. I mean, I got to get comfortable working with the new member in these third parties. Okay. So this is where we all build confidence and learn how to work together. So if you're not doing third-party calls, your leader's not really able to help you so much. I'm telling you, do third-party calls. Your leaders are going to be able to help you at a level that you won't believe how fast you're going to grow. Chris and I, we humbled ourselves in so many ways in this industry, and we did so many three-way sessions with some leaders, and we learned a ton of stuff. We just zipped it. We put like that invisible duct tape on our lips, and we took notes, and we learned, you guys, how they were handling this stuff. So if you're not doing three ways, you're not learning.
I want to show people, there's a new book from, it's actually mirrored. I don't know if you'll be able to see that if it's not me. I don't know how to change this to not to be mirrored, but it's a book from Mel Robbins. Let Them. I know it's probably mirrored for you. I'm not sure if you're seeing it mirrored. Probably is. This is a really, really good book. I always buy digital books just because I just can't carry all my books as I travel. And the reason why I'm mentioning this here, folks, it's because people are so worried all the time about, oh my God, what are they going to think of me? And what she says in this book, let them think whatever they want to think.
Yeah. Who cares?
You just carry on with your dreams and your goals.
Yeah.
I'm not saying to go out there and irritate folks. That is not what I'm saying by a long shot. What I'm saying is stop worrying about what others think about you or of you. You have no control over that. And I thought I find she really, really hit home for this one. So sorry, Tammy, I kind of cut in because you were on a point that was very important. I wanted to add this in. So if you want to go ahead and finish, Bay, go ahead.
No, I'm glad you mentioned it, because this is the posture that you have to build. I mean, this is before we even, obviously her book is so new, right? And she's so amazing. But that's all experience. I can tell you everything that comes from her books comes from her experiences. So if you're not out there making those experiences and messing up, you're not growing. You're not learning. You're not growing. And this is, for years, Chris and I humbled ourselves, and we learned and we grew, and we learned and we grew, and we messed up so many times, and we started developing a team, and then the team was falling apart, and then there was conflict within this is part of the growing, you guys. And I know it has nothing to do with kind of what we're talking about, the closing aspect, but you got to understand that things happen in life. You don't have control over everything. So don't even try. It's not even worth the energy. All you're doing is looking for people who want to make a difference in their life, who want to move forward, who want to grow personally, who want to have a great data service that's got huge value, right? People that are looking for this stuff. That's all we're doing. We're not here to convince anybody to do anything that they don't want to do. Those people, let's just be friends with them, right? Maybe down the road, something could happen. But I just love people. I just want to be friends with people. And if they like it, great. If they don't, hey, let's follow up and see how you're doing in 3 months, and let's see how I'm doing in 3 months or 6 months. No competition at all. I'm not saying this to do this, but just to see where they're at, because maybe the timing's not working for them. Maybe they're not telling you what's going on in their lives because the trust factor has not been developed yet for them to even open up. I have the ability to open people up. Did I have that ability when I first started? No. But I do today because I talk to enough people to learn how to open people up in conversations. I've learned these skills because I showed up to class. I took courses. I invested in me because I am the asset, you guys. You're the asset. Invest in yourself. The more you do that, the more successful you become.
So the call to action here, folks, is make closing a natural part of your daily approach once they've seen the information. And let me kind of give you some examples. What I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through this, and then Tammy and I are going to do a bit of role playing with you here. Okay, so I'm going to be the associate, and Tammy's going to be the guest. But let's go through some of the different scenarios that are displayed here. Let me just kind of start with the first one, where asking for a decision. So again, Tammy, I'm just going to right now paraphrasing, so I'll let you know when I'm ready to prospect, okay? So sure. For example, say, hey, Tammy, based on what you've seen, are you ready to get started? This is something that I do, and I know Tammy does on a regular basis. You know, they have the 7-day trial. They had an opportunity to install the software, and I do recommend that you don't just let them fend for themselves. I recommend that you help them, because not everybody knows how to use a cell phone. Let's face it, it's reality. And you may want to be there to show them how to get the app, and then, you know, or how to, okay. And these are steps depending on the age group you're working with. If you're dealing with the younger generation, I know they're born with a phone in their hip. That's a different environment. But again, it's just food for thought for you. But based on what you've seen, are you ready to get started? And pause. Give them an opportunity to answer. Don't just keep talking nonstop. Pause. Very important. So number 2 is...
Chris, can I just add one thing?
Go ahead.
Because if they say yes, get their information, get them in. Do not start reselling them. Yeah, I've seen that so many times, Chris, where people are overselling.
Out of the business. I know. Oh. You know, folks, I'm so glad, Tammy, you're stumping me on this, because this is absolutely correct. If someone says yes, stop the explanation and the teaching. Get them in. Once they're in, then you re-engage. And then you show them exactly how to install the app on their phone, in their computer. And once they see the data going and they can confirm, folks, that creates an emotional connection by the excitement, knowing that, oh, my stuff's going. Okay, very important. Thank you. Did you want to add anything else to that, Tammy?
Maybe something like if they say yes and then there's a but there, and I say because people don't know what to do, right? That's the first thing that people say. I don't know.
We'll do some role playing on that, Tammy. So
yeah,
let me just go through the 4 things.
Okay.
And then let's role play, because otherwise we may go a little long in this.
Okay, I'll use that as one of the role play examples.
Exactly. Yeah. Number 2 is handle final questions. Again, it's just these are the initial phrases to initiate the conversation, so you can start having a conversation with this person to try to convert them, or make the sell, whatever you want to call it. What's holding you back from saying yes today? I often do that. That's when you really get into the core necessary information. Instead of you sharing your agenda, what you think it's important, you focus on what they want. That's what's important. That's one of the final questions. What's holding you back from saying yes today? Okay. And I'm going to use examples in a moment with Tammy. So number 3 is create a sense of urgency. Share time-sensitive opportunities. So for example, you've been on the software for 7 days. That's why I'm not a fan of 2 weeks, 1 month. And I'm not saying 2 weeks is no good. I'm just saying I'm a bit, I wouldn't say I'm a closer. I like to do business. And I know that in a week from now, in a society that we live in today, people get cold within 24 hours. So for me, I like the 7 days. Now, it's possible we may change to 2 weeks. Whatever happens, happens. What I'm saying is, regardless, even if it's 2 weeks, after the 2nd or 3rd day, I'm going to make sure that he initiated a transfer, everything is going well. And then I would simply ask a question, what's holding you back from saying yes today, knowing that everything's working? You might be surprised. Yeah, why not? Boom. Remember, folks, it's a $10 a month product. It's not like $1,000 that require a lot of budgeting here, right? It's not a hard decision to make. Number 3 is, I think it was to create sense of urgency. Share the time and sensitive opportunity. The fact is, there's 3 days left of your 7-day free trial. Why don't we get started right now? Again, you can use anything that you feel will be useful for them to understand the sense of urgency. Also, you may turn around and say, listen, I got 3 people that are ready to sign up like now. And be careful by lying, because I know for me that happens often. Very often, they say, I have 3 people to sponsor, but I spoke to them 3 days ago. Like before I spoke to them, they're ready to make a decision. I will use that as a sense of urgency. I just want to let you know, and it's okay if you want to wait. You're totally okay with that. But if you're interested, you're just waiting for your 7 days, knowing that 3 people are coming in, might as well put you ahead of these guys, because you made a decision prior originally. You made the decision. You made the decision to look at it 3 days before they decide to make the decision. Exactly. These are things that I use, but I'm very diligent on how I do this. I don't lie. I don't exaggerate. I tell it the way it is. And that's very important, folks, because time will promote you or expose you. Remember, that's a fact. Now, number 4 is confirm the next step. Guide them through the sign up and their first action plan. As I stated earlier, John, are you ready? Oh yeah, I'm ready. Okay, perfect. Let's get you signed up. Boom. Okay, the very first thing we're to do right now is install the software. Now what we need to do is we need to show you how to become a copper. What is a copper? Oh, you need to sponsor 1 on your left, 1 on your right. Do not start teaching a comp plan. It's not necessary. They don't need to understand what's on the hood at the moment. They will get there. But at the beginning right now, you just want to get 2. Could you imagine if everybody who comes into this company turns around and sponsors 2 people within the first week? Do you realize the kind of momentum you will see in your business? It will blow your mind. This is why we're teaching you these activities. Okay. So waiting 30 days and within 2 weeks, it's up to you. You can do that forever, but you know what I mean? The ice will start building up. If you still my meaning. So this is how we work our business. And Tammy and I have built organization that has passed over 600,000 members, not because we did it. It's because we started a momentum from our activities that carried on. And that's why this has happened. And I assure you that we got back up. I'm not kidding, folks. It is coming and it will get there. Absolutely will get there. So let's go with some examples, Tammy. So for example, let's say that, as I said earlier, you're my guest, okay? And let's say that I just shared with you, you just saw a presentation either on Friday or Monday or Sunday or Wednesday, wherever that is. And I would say, I'm calling you, Tammy, right now. It could be a Zoom session. It could be a WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, whatever works. And I say, Tammy, based on what you've seen, are you ready to get started? What would you respond to that?
I like the idea, and I definitely need to make money. But I'm not technical. I don't, data storage. I'm not sure if it's something that would be for me.
Okay. Now, let me give you guys two kind of ways to answer this. If you're a person that understands the technical aspect of things because you've installed the software, you've helped others, I recommend you walk her through it. If you're not a person who really understands these things, the next best thing, so I'm going to start with this one. Tammy, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send you an installation video on how easy it is to install it on your cell phone. Are you open to that?
Sure.
Okay. So I'm going to send that to you. Let's say Facebook Messenger, and watch the video. And as soon as you watched it, just give me a quick message and let's reconvene so I can help you get things started, because really the app does all the work for you. Is that okay? Does that work for you?
Okay. Is it going to take a long time to do, or?
No, it's actually, I mean, the install will take a bit of time depending on how much data you have in your phone, how much pictures and videos, but the process itself just takes a few minutes, barely. It's really straightforward.
Okay. All right.
Okay, you see what I just did here, folks? Is depending if you're a technical person, I personally would jump in a Zoom and I would show it to them. If you're not, and in fact, I highly recommend to even use the other option, get them to watch the video. Why? Because when she's not a technical person, when she turns around and sponsors someone else that asks the same question, guess what she's going to do? Same thing. She will duplicate the same process. Watch the video. Simple. Oh, okay. So that's how I would handle it.
So let's use another scenario, Chris.
Give me an example and I'll throw it at you.
Okay. So you're doing the same thing. You sent me a link and you're following up on me.
Okay. So, hey, Tammy, I'm just following up. And by the way, thank you for taking the time to look at the information. Really, really appreciate that. What's holding you back right now from saying yes today, based on information I just sent to you?
Well, I've never been in the industry before, so I don't really understand it.
Okay.
It sounds interesting, but I've had friends that have done this stuff before, and they didn't do very well. So I'm just not. I don't know what to do.
Okay, that's very, very fair. Now, folks, what I'm going to do, it's an expression called feel, felt, found. You can find that in our handling objection training that I was pointing you at the beginning of the call. So here's how I'm going to handle this. Tammy, I totally, listen, I completely get it. And I can really relate. In fact, I used to feel the same way. And folks, that's the truth, by the way. It's honest truth. I used to feel the same way. But what I found is I started following folks that really got success in this business. And I started duplicating what they did. And to my surprise, I started having some wonderful results. And today, as a matter of fact, this is what I do for a living. And my life has been impacted in so many positive ways where, despite what's going on with our economy and despite the value of our Canadian dollar going down, what I love is we're getting paid in US dollars. So it's like almost a 40% increase just by the exchange rate. I'm just using, again, folks, what I'm trying to tell you here is I'm using my environment. I'm Canadian. We're dealing with Canadian dollar with a value of currency going down, and we're getting paid in US dollars. In my country, this is a great, massive boost. Some people will have to work a second job just to get what I can get in the exchange rate based on the income we're getting got back up. So I'm just giving you a little bit of the background, what's going on in my head. as to why I'm using this example, knowing that I'm working with a prospect who happens to be Canadian. So
Well,
sorry,
that
Tammy, I
sounds
just want to give
interesting
people
as a
the context. So
Canadian. Yeah, that
yeah,
sounds
you go
really,
ahead.
really
So
yeah.
go ahead, please.
As a Canadian, that is interesting. It's funny because I was talking to some friends recently, and we were talking about some vacations, and it's just so expensive to go on vacation, and then everything, wherever you go, you got to use US dollars because our dollar value is so little. So that's pretty exciting. Just one more thing, because I'm a mom, I'm a single mom, and I work a full-time job, and my kids are still, they're older, but they still need me around. um, how many hours do you have to put into this to do well?
This is a really amazing question. In fact, I'm not exaggerating with this because that's $1 million question: is how much time should you spend into that? Well, here's the thing, Tammy, it really depends on what your goals are. But I can tell you that this business is designed to be done on a part-time basis whenever you have the time to apply. So, for example, depending on your goals, we can set a schedule. And it's not so much how much time you're going to put into this, it's also your social network, the people that you associate with. And we can go back, we can certainly expand on that a little further. But I would recommend to spend at least maybe, depending on what maybe 10 hours a week. Is that something that you can spare?
Yeah, yeah, I could do 10.
Okay. So at that point, let's work a plan. Let's work a schedule.
Okay.
The first thing is the very first benchmark that we want to reach is you want to become copper. So that's by sponsoring one person on your left, one person on your right. Do you know at least 4 or 5 people that you think might be open to look at this information?
I wasn't really thinking about that right now. I was thinking
Okay.
more as if it was something for me, because I would have to really like it to want
For
to tell
sure.
other people about it. So I think
Excellent.
the best thing for me is to just get started and get my feet wet and just guide me and tell me what to do. Because at the end of the day, I need support. I need help.
Okay. That's totally fair. So let's do this. Let's make sure that we install the software on your phone and your computer. Let's start from there. And as you see the results, and I'm sure that you'll see others could benefit from that, then we can certainly cross that bridge. So you ready to get started now?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So let's go online, blah, blah, blah. And now, folks, I would go through the process of enrolling her. You can give her your website, but personally, while they're with me, I would go with them, and I would either get her to share her screen with me, or I would just give her the link. She can sign herself up, and I'd stay with her until I see the confirmation that she's in my genealogy. If you just give people a link and you walk away, often they might come across a problem, something might have occurred, and that could have solved in 5 seconds. But because she had a challenge, she might be a little bit insecure, a little nervous. This is what I recommend, is to go through the process. Okay. But of course, the system is very automated, and honestly, you don't even need to be there, but it's just extra information I'm sharing with you.
And just want to add, Chris, before we move forward, just to see how natural this was, you guys.
Mhm.
There was no hype. There was just connection, and he was genuine in wanting to help me see the bigger picture, obviously, and in the support. I obviously, as the conversation was going, I started to feel more comfortable. That he could support me as well. So these are all the things that I can tell you a prospect is looking for. They're looking for people that will be there for them. It's like they don't know what they're doing. Nobody likes to spend money and not know, especially in today's world, even if it's $10. right? So the key is to handle all the roadblocks that might come up, or questions. You don't even have to call them roadblocks. It could be just simple questions. It's not always a challenge, right? When I was saying how many hours do I need to put in, stuff like that. So just get back to people and just let it flow, you guys. Let it flow. And you'd be surprised on the results that you're going to get. Do
That's
not
it.
go in there with that mindset of, what if they say this? What if they say that? Because most likely they're not going to say anything that's in your mind. Okay. So you need to be in the present moment, connecting with them, and just going back and forth, answering their
So
questions, moving
exactly,
them forward.
exactly, Tammy. So the key again, folks, have a conversation and don't be so salesy. In the
No.
conversation, share how you feel about things, how the experience you had, and of course you want to have a wonderful experience, and for that you need to install the software, watch the video, folks, do your homework, be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
So again, folks, it's ask for a decision based on what you've seen. Are you ready to get started?
Mm-hmm.
Handle the final question. What's on your back for you to say yes today? Create a sense of urgency. Share some time sensitive opportunity. I give you some example earlier where there's people ready to sign up. There's the 7 days almost done, whatever you find appropriate in a conversation. And the last point is guide them through the next step. If they're not ready yet and they might be procrastinating a little bit, and that's normal. Don't pressure them. Just give them the next step. So personally, because they can try it for 7 days, that is a really good next step. So I would say, hey, Tammy, why don't we just get you started for free right now for 7 days? Let's walk through the installation process. Make sure you're comfortable with the process. And then you may find that she may be ready to start right away because, oh, it's working. Might be 24 hours. It might take a few days. It doesn't, I'm telling you, it won't take you 7 days if you're following the guidelines. Okay. So that's, and the last point here before we move on, because
Go
it's
back
not
to
many
the
slides
slides,
here,
Chris,
folks,
because
is
you're not,
playing.
Chris, you're not showing the slides.
Well, I know I do this.
There we
sometimes.
go.
It's the same slide we were looking at here, folks.
Yeah.
Is what's important here is role playing.
Mhm.
Is role play with your upline, with maybe even your downline that are as motivated as you are building the business. Folks, do your homework. Do your homework. Role play. Practice. I know I've done a lot of role playing over the years. There is no objection. There is no question I cannot handle. Because the questions and objections will always be around getting started or trying the software. And if you're not all that technical, use the videos to do the work for you. And there's also videos that are walking you through on the installation process that we have done that you can find in the Saturday trainings. There is absolutely nothing missing for you. So Tammy, as we continue with the last couple slides here, and examples of overcoming, the closing challenges, when do we walk people through that?
Yeah. So I'm just going to look sideways here because I don't see that slide very well. There we go. Okay. So some of the common objections that people are going to say is, I'm not sure if this is for me. I use that one, you guys. So you got an example of how Chris handled it. I don't have the money right now. If somebody doesn't have the money, it's not that they don't have the money. Often that's not the underlying objection. I can tell you that, because often we used to have our car keys, and we'd put our keys on the table. And this is when we were like belly to belly with people. And when they would say, I don't have the money, and I put the key and I move it towards them. I said, if I would give you the keys to this car right now, would you find the money? And they say yes right away. And so you know that often money is not the object. It's you got to get deeper on what it is. It's most likely they're not sure if they can do it. Again, you got to dig deeper in the layers of that. It's possible that they don't have a job right now. Do you know somebody, a family member or somebody very close to you that would loan you the cost, right? Most people have enough in the bank or credit card. They just haven't justified why they want to spend that money. See, with Got Backup, it's so inexpensive. I honestly have not got that objection. Not once. Not once at all. Okay. But when somebody's promoting $1,000 package and stuff like that, that might be an objection in today's world. Okay. And again, it's all on the value and the benefits that you're bringing to the table and your posture around it. Right. So I need to think about it. I mean, people may say that. And again, if you ask them the question at the beginning on a scale of 1 to 10, where do they see themselves, or do they see themselves in getting started right now? Do you have any questions? Right? Ask them, do you have any questions before we get you started? And that way they can answer, you can answer questions that I'll think about it. Probably won't come up if you're doing the right sequence of connecting with people. Okay. And ask them, what do they need to think about? It's $30, right? It's $20 to be a member for a whole year, and it's $10. Did you need to think about it when you became a member, at Netflix or whatever? It's nothing. Did you think about it when you went to the Starbucks? Right? It's not like we're spending $1,000 here. You don't say that, but you just gotta kind of bring it into perspective in a kind way and not make people feel uncomfortable and foolish, right? But always understand where people are at. You can use, many of the top leaders felt the same way. I've had friends that were struggling financially, and they found a way to get the money. And here's where they are today in the organization. You can use third-party testimonies, right? And you can bring them to a conversation to share their struggle, where they were at. They found a way, they worked some extra hours to be able to come up with that side hustle money to be able to do this, right? So there's always a way, you guys. You got to figure it out. You got to be creative and find ways to help people get over the hurdle, to get over that step, to get over that whatever, right? To get to that decision making. All right. So, and it is not expensive, you guys. It's the easiest thing ever. It really is. If somebody's throwing a money objection, honestly, they haven't bought into you yet, or maybe they haven't looked at the information yet, because it really is a no-brainer. Either that, or they're just absolutely not interested, don't have devices, don't have any data. I mean, then you cross them off the list, right?
We could
Or
go on and
referral.
on and on and on in 100 million different
Yeah,
situations.
it's true.
And folks, at the end of the day, welcome new partners into the system. Again, Got Backup has this ability for you to create a flyer automated. That's why one of the things that's important when they get started is to make sure the pictures is added to their back office. So when there's a flyer that you want to produce to recognize them when they move up in rank, or simply when they got started, then you can do it. Often, there's people that are moving up in rank or that are congratulations, and there's no images. It's just a name. Again, this is something I highly, highly recommend, because number one is to welcome and celebrate, makes them feel valued, is a big, big part of getting people on board and to stick around. Very important. Maybe the expression, babies cry for it, adults die for it. Very important. And number two is give people a 30-day plan. This is the reason why we're doing this 90-day run. If you go back in time to previous trainings, we had a 90-day game plan.
30-day. Yeah.
Making the first circle work.
Mhm.
Go back to these train, because this is exactly what we're doing. The
Mhm.
reason why, some people say, how come you guys are so high? You're making all, again and again, folks, I don't mean to be disrespectful with this. There's some folks that don't understand that we are not where we are by luck. We are where we are because we apply basic principle rules that we know will create a team. And that's what it's all about. Because when someone signs up, you don't just want to sign up to get the commission on the spot and then move on. Good luck. No, we want to create a family. We want to create an environment that are going to want them to also do the same thing, because it's that duplication process that creates a mammoth organization that will generate the income that the compensation plan is telling you can earn by meeting these requirements. But if you show people a plan, they're most likely going to stick around. You want to plug them into a system. And I know there's other leaders out there that have different systems,
Mhm.
and they're strong and they believe in our systems, and that's wonderful. If it sticks and it works, hey, I highly recommend to follow the system. Tammy and I also have our own system, and it works
For years. Yeah.
for years. We're not going to change it because someone else says we don't, whatever. Let them do what you want. At the end of the day, folks, you need to create a system. And if you don't have a system, go through your upline leader and say, listen, can you show me what you do to get people started? Go through your upline leaders. Very important. And Tammy and I try to be very sensitive because we understand that different leaders, different stroke, different approach for different style.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But,
Absolutely.
but you want to plug them into a system, introduce them to the training tools. You want to introduce them to the call. You want to introduce them to the presentations. You want to introduce them to these trainings. These trainings that we're doing here on Saturday, folks. I'm not kidding. They're not cheap. I know, because we paid for them prior to become who we are. Now we're paying it forward because we know it's going to help the community. And what's beautiful with God Backup is if all of you do well, it increases the God Backup's input. And as their input increases, well, the commission increases. That means we all benefit. Do you understand? So this is why these trainings are so important. And if you're part of the trainings, I am telling you, you will earn while you learn. And again, the onboarding script is just an example, folks. And I'm not saying that you need to follow this. It's just an example. And John or Tammy, congratulations for taking the first step. Let's create your first win this week by a specific action, by qualifying you as a copper so you can start earning the cycle bonus the company offers on tier 1. You need to have 1% on your left, 1% on your right. Is it something that we can do right now? Yes, absolutely. Or earlier, I just want to get comfortable with the sauce. Again, these are all things that you are going to handle and that you're going to process step by step. But that's how you get someone involved. And because someone's not ready to run today, it doesn't mean they're not going to run tomorrow. They just need the process to go through the process so they feel at ease and they feel comfortable, because, I don't want to ruin my reputation by selling this to my friends, and this doesn't happen, that didn't happen, that didn't happen. So they want to go to themselves first. I use God Backup all the time. I use it in all my stuff. I share my files all the time. So I have a very strong belief in it because I use it all the time. But again, maybe the person you bring in is not there yet. That's why that collaboration and exchange is so important. So we have about 5 minutes left here, Tammy.
Yep.
So
Yep.
let's talk about the last 2 slides here. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we're in our final week. Okay. So the goal is to get as many signups as we can. So for the whole month, you've talked to quite a few people. Some of you have been in this for a while now, and you've got lists of names that, oh my gosh, I got to get back to that person. Got to get back to that person. So the goal is to write down the number of signups that you're going to do this week. If you don't put that goal written down and you don't work towards it, you will not reach your numbers. Okay, it can't be in your head because we know in 2 seconds something else is going in your head and you totally forgot about it. All right, so write it down. Grab a piece of paper, put it in your phone, whatever, write it down. How many people are you going to sign up this week, and set that intention and have a strong belief and posture around it like it's already done. Okay, and then you start making the calls or texting or whatever it is, getting the final Zoom session to get them initiated into the business. All right. And it shouldn't be a difficult process. It's not a product that costs a lot of money. Okay. So get out there and do the numbers. You'll see, you'll get the results if you do the numbers. And then you want to onboard them. You want to say, the moment they say yes to get started, get them in. Don't say anything else. Get them in. Once they're in, then you book your first new associate onboarding session and get them familiar with their back office. If you're part of a leadership that has a system, use their system. And then it's going to walk you through the process of the simple steps on getting started. Chris and I've done training on this, by the way, and we will do another training on it because we're always evolving. The back office is always adding new stuff, which is really exciting. And then you'll be able to leverage from that. So we'll always update these training sessions. And then you want to prepare your team to start at the beginning of February. Get everybody on board. Even the ones that didn't get on board at the beginning of January because something happened, they couldn't do anything. Something happened, they got sick. I mean, so many people got sick in January and they stopped working. So you can get them engaged starting in February. This could be their 90-day, February till the end of April instead. Okay, there's no stamp on, it has to be. No. Okay. So you need to start and do your 90 days. And so you want to track all the stuff that you're doing. And next Saturday, Chris, let's get them putting out their numbers in the comments on the amount of people they talked to and how many people signed up so we can start celebrating them.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing when we're using StreamYard with Zoom, it's instant. With StreamYard, there's a gap of about 15 seconds. So sometimes the response is not that great. But be prepared for next Saturday, folks. Some of you are sponsoring so many people. You're doing so well. Would love to have your numbers. And so we can inspire others knowing that, hey, it's very possible some are doing this, right? Very, very helpful. The last point here, folks, is celebrating is very, very important, right? Again, BB's cry for it, adults die for it. We need that recognition. And sometimes we don't get that from the workforce. Sometimes we don't get that within, our family environment, right? It's like people are used to you, right? If you're a mom or you're a dad or whatever, maybe a big sister, they're used to have you doing things. And sometimes we don't get that recognition because it's normal. But in this environment, it's an opportunity for you to recognize small steps, intermediate steps, and major steps. And it's important that you recognize that. And those of you who do will see the results. So very, very important. So,
and can I add something, Chris? It's more important for your team, believe it or not, that you're growing in your ranks. It is important for your team members. Okay. I know people say, it doesn't matter to me. Being a diamond doesn't matter to me. They want the money, but being a diamond doesn't matter. And I said, maybe not to you, but it matters to the people that follow you. And it just, that aha moment, right? And it matters to the people. So go work hard because the people need to believe that it can happen. They need to believe.
Agree with that. I totally agree with that. So folks, the recap here is again, we talked about closing with confidence. When I say closing is to get people to cross the line to activate their position. Number 2, we talked about is handling objections. We give you a few little scenarios, but I really recommend that you role play. You can even role play with your cat or your dog. So animals sometimes are awesome the way they look at you, and you can simulate things, right? Obviously, having another human being, it will certainly be helpful to have a response. Onboarding new members effectively, it's very, 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 very important. Very important. Folks, at the end of the day, this is your time to shine. And we really recommend for you to aim for your level of goal. That means you're sponsored 5 people. That means that within the 5 people, them or someone that they brought in from them became a copper. That means they brought in one on the left, one on the right. They brought 2 people that are spread on both sides. And you have at least 25 people in your team. Just by doing that, by default, the 25 is really not hard because the math is there. And you'll reach the goal level. And when you're goal level, folks, that's when you start getting the compression bonuses. And eventually you start moving up from tier 1 to tier 2. It's all about duplicating and producing coppers. And I know there was a mention here on how do I withdraw my money, folks. These are the kind of question that I highly recommend you go to the support system. We can't go through these kind of things here. It's way too long. But again, in your back office, they are a process. There's either wise or pay quicker, and follow the instructions. And if you're not sure, go through the support system, create a ticket. Don't expect an email back. You have to go back to the ticket system, and you'll see that if it requires a response and it's in red, you click on that, you can see what's going on. Okay, so I think, folks, we've covered a lot of grounds here. At the end of the day, what's important is for you to get started now and start aiming for what you want. It's very important that you start setting goals. We've done trainings on setting goals, understanding your why, all of that. It's all back there. And I think we might have talked it on the very first training. So go back to these previous trainings that we've done, especially on the 90-day, to stay within the context of the 90-day run, and then run with this, folks. Run with it. This is a wonderful opportunity. And if folks are saying things, let them. It's okay. I mean, the world is bored if they don't talk about someone else. It's just the way the world works. You don't have to let them impact you negatively if it happens to be that way. In some cases, it could be quite positive, but focus on the positive and don't worry so much about what people think. Focus more on providing what they need.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. And if it's not something they're interested in, don't lose faith on the opportunity because someone that you spoke to is not open to it. That may even be negative towards it because they had a bad experience. It's a wonderful, wonderful industry to be part of. But don't give up. Don't give up on yourself. It's the only opportunity that I can think of that is inexpensive like this, that can turn into a massive profit margin for you, profit revenue. But you do understand that if you have a wonderful feel, understanding your feel is anybody on planet Earth. And as you start planting your seeds, this is sharing your links. You can even turn these links into a QR code, whatever. Share this within your social environment. That's planting your seeds. And understand that if you keep staring at your seed because you've just planted it one day ago, and you keep looking and you get discouraged because the plant's not growing, you're not seeing anything on the ground coming through because it's been 24 hours, understand that there's a process. So trust the process, but stay the course in planting your seeds. And over time, these seeds will start going through the ground and it will start growing. And that's the harvest. But you can't benefit from the harvest until you started planting your seeds. Keep that in mind. It's if someone's complaining about something, ask them, what have you done to build your business? And you'll find that the answer will be deviated or you won't have an answer to that question. Here's your answer. Stay the course. We got something wonderful, wonderful here. It's a service that everyone needs. But of course, not everybody's going to see it. I assure you that when Bitcoin was introduced back in 2012, or I forgot the exact date, people were laughing. They thought it was a scam. Today is worth $106,000 for one Bitcoin. What happened if you would have put $300 in there? What I'm saying, folks, is anything new will always be looked upon as, but you have to see the vision. And if you're able to share the vision with others, this is when others will follow you. Don't worry so much if they're not into it. If you're into it, you stay the course. That's what Tammy and I are all about. So Tammy, let's end this call on this note. Was there anything else you want to add as we end?
Talk to more people. That's the only thing I can think of. Anytime you're thinking of something that's not going well, just talk to more people. The more people you talk to, the better you become, and the more results you're going to get in signups.
Beautiful. So everybody, listen, have yourself an absolute wonderful rest of your weekend. Stay tuned for all the presentations that are taking place from your WhatsApp groups, your Facebook Messenger groups, whatever group that you're part of with your team. And make sure that there's a system that you can follow so you can actually build your business. If you don't have a system, go back to your upline leadership and we'll make sure that you get the information that you need. Out of respect for all the leaders out there, we don't want to impose what Tammy and I do, but I can tell you that having a system is absolutely critical. And a system is not a complicated thing. Is where can I get the presentation? When are the presentation taking place? And what do I need to do to qualify? And how do I make my money? And all of these things. Make sure that someone understand the steps, and that's how you're going to grow and get people to follow you. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your weekend. Love you guys. And thank you for your wonderful feedback. Take care.
Have an awesome weekend.